Good day. In today's video, we will be discussing global divides, North and South. Let's first discuss the intended learning outcomes or the objectives. Number one, articulate the definition as well as the differences of global North and global South. Number two, undermine the rationale behind such division classification. Number three, understand the current configuration and manifestation of the divide. Number four, recognize how this division affects the path of globalization and the current world in general. And not last but not the least, equip students with 21st century skills and develop higher order thinking skills that will lead towards a deeper understanding of global north-south divide and how it impacts the Philippines, the Filipino society, and the individual self. All right, let's move on. Now, I'd like you to analyze the next slide or the picture in the slide. Now, what do you see on your left and what do you see on your right? So, yes, you're correct. On your left, it is a cheetah, and on your right, and on my right, it is uh, a snail. So, let's try to uh, distinguish the characteristic of the cheetah and the snail by having this form of representation. The cheetah is considered as the fastest animal in the planet, and the snail is probably the slowest organism or animal in this planet. And what's the relationship of the cheetah and the snail to our topic for today? Okay, so the cheetah, we can actually consider that as we can actually relate that to the global north, and the snail, you can actually relate that to the global south. Now, what's the difference between these two? All right, before that, let us try to know when this idea, the global north and the global south, started. Okay, the Brand Report of 1983 started it all. Now, what was the content of the Brand Report? So it was published by a commission chaired by the former German Chancellor Willy Brandt, and the report identified two ideas. Number one, the North, those countries that are above the South 30 degrees of North. And number two, this is the South is a geographical convenience based on the fact that most of the world lies south of latitude 30 degrees north. Of course, except Australia and New Zealand. So for you to be able to understand what I'm saying, so let's try to analyze this map. This is actually the brand map of representation of the global north and the global south. Above, we call it as the rich north or the global north. And at the bottom or below, these are the global south or countries that are considered the poor south. So moving forward, what do you mean by global north again? It is generally viewed to be the more affluent countries in terms of economy. They are more recognized as the more economically developed countries. So, technically speaking, when we talk about the global north, these are rich countries. Uh, in most of the time, in majority of this country or majority of these countries, were former colonizers of the world. Okay, example, you have United States of America, Canada, Australia, Hong Kong, Macau, New Zealand, Japan, Singapore, South Korea, and Taiwan. Now, what do we mean by Global South? These are countries that are less economically developed. Example, you have Somalia, Vietnam, Haiti, and India. So, the question here there is, what about the Philippines? Where are we from these two ideas or concepts? The Philippines is considered to be uh, a member country of the Global South. Why? Because our economy is still developing. Going back to history, we were colonized by three different foreigners: the Spanish, the Spaniards, or Spain. You have the United States of America, and of course, Japan. Now, what's the effect of this colonization to the Philippines? Technically speaking, um, we were affected in a way that uh, we are trying to improve our economy. We are trying to improve in the sense that we're trying to attract or to encourage foreign investor in our country, or foreigners to invest in our country. So essentially, uh, uh, we're trying to cope up in developing our economy through foreign investment. Now, what's the benefit for the Philippines uh, with regards to foreign investment? Two things. Number one, it serves as an additional revenue for the Philippines, for our government, in the form of taxes. Though our government gives incentives to foreign investors, but then again, it's one of the source of revenue for the government. Second, it gives employment for Filipinos. So uh, that's it. All right. And most of these countries, the countries that are members of the Global South, those countries were colonized by the Europeans, or the countries that belongs to the Global North. All right. Now this is the challenge for you, and I like to challenge you. In a minimum of 5 words, think of at least 5 words that best describes the Global North. Can you do that? Of course you can. Let's try. All right. Thank you very much for your participation. Now, I'd like you to think 5 words that best describes Global South. All right. So again, when we talk about the Global North, these are rich countries in terms of their economies. They are well developed. They started industrialization. Um, they are actually considered as uh, nuclear countries, or they are really powerful countries in terms of their military capabilities. So yon. And then the Global South, these are developing countries. In the past, it is called, the Global South is called uh, third world countries, and the Global North is considered as developed countries or first world countries. So again, always remember that there's a new terminology with regards to first world and third world. The new terminology nowadays uh, is called the Global North and the Global South. The Global North for the first world countries, and the Global South for third world countries. I hope that is clear. Okay, so this will be your assignment. Let me read the instruction for you. Reflect on the image in the next slide. What can you do to change the situation? Give at least 3 possible solutions presented in a narrative form. Submit your paper using the following specification: font style Arial, font size 12, margin narrow. Submit all assignment in our LMS. Rubrics for scoring is as follows. We have organization of ideas, 50%, and adherence to the guidelines given, 50%. So you will submit this on October 21, 2020 in our LMS. All right, so this is the picture. All right, do you have any questions? There being none, class dismissed. Bye.